Stellenbosch Sdasm. Sdasm, as you know it, is a Seventh-day Adventist student movement. This structure is designed to meet the social, academic, and spiritual needs of SDA students on the Stellenbosch University campus. Sdasm has evolved into what you see today over time. Looking back can provide one with a wealth of knowledge, lessons, and direction. Let us take a trip down memory lane to visit those who came before us and laid the foundation. A foundation on which many of us have laid a brick, added a stroke of paint, placed a roofing tile, patched somewhere, or put a door handle on. From the beginning to what we have made it to be today. This is Stellenbosch Sdasm Memories, a story worth sharing.
Hi everyone, my name is Ngopi Machaka. I was a student at Stellenbosch from 2002 until 2006, studying towards an LLB degree. Now, when I arrived in 2002, there was no Sdasm. I tried to ask on my first week on campus, what is the nearest church? I was informed that there was a church in Kayamnandi and there was a church in Idas Valley. My first language is Xhosa, and therefore I thought I could blend very well with Kayamnandi. Upon my arrival at Kayamnandi, I met 4 other students who were staying around the main campus. Fortunately, one of them had a car, so each and every Sabbath we would meet at a certain point. He would collect all of us and then we would drive to Kayamnandi. At the beginning of 2003, we started having serious discussions about forming Sdasm at Stellenbosch University. At that point in time, we were the only institution around the Western Cape that had no active Sdasm around the campus. We did not know what to do, and for this reason, we invited Pastor Papu to come and address us and to come and assist us in the formation of Sdasm with Stellenbosch. At the time, Pastor Papu, I think, was a youth ministries director at Helderberg College. He came together with another pastor known as Pastor Stanley. They encouraged us to form Sdasm. Now, we were a 5-member group around the campus. There were 5 of us students who were active Seventh-day Adventists. We went, after this meeting that we had with Pastor Papu, we approached the university. We told we want to form an organization known as Sdasm. The university advised us that before we can form any sort of an organization, we needed to register what was known as a Seventh-day Adventist society. Now, the university gave us a list of registering this society, but we had one challenge. There were only 5 of us who were active. I think the university requirement for registration of a society was that we should have a membership of about 20 to 25 students. Now, we did not know what to do at this point. We prayed about this, and after we prayed about this, we requested another meeting with the university. At this meeting, we told the university that we were struggling with membership. We therefore requested them to give us a list of all the students who on their application form indicated that they were Seventh-day Adventists. Indeed, the university gave us a list of names. They also gave us their email addresses. Got a list of about 30 names. We wrote an email to these students requesting them to come and have a meeting with us. We also invited Pastor Papu and Pastor Stanley to this meeting. Pastor Papu unfortunately could not make it, but I remember Pastor Stanley indeed attended this meeting. To our surprise, I think about 19 students pitched up at this meeting. We persuaded them and told them that we wanted to form Sdasm around the campus. But in order for us to form Sdasm, the university needs us to register a Seventh-day Adventist society. Most of them came from Somerset West, There was also a group that came from Ravensmith Church. There were also a few that came from Iris Valley, and others were coming from different churches. So they were really persuaded. In fact, they loved this idea, and that is how we got a membership of registering the Seventh-day Adventist Society around the campus. Now, this was at the end of 2003. At the beginning of 2004, when the university started, we were now a registered society. We could be able now to place our own table. I'm not sure if societies on this day and age still do this at Stellenbosch. There would be an open day where all societies would come, and they would market themselves and introduce themselves to the students. We were one of those societies in 2004. We had our own little table, we had our own banners, and I remember Helderberg College borrowed us those banners and a tablecloth with the emblem of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I would also want to mention that Helderberg College played an important role in the establishment of Sdasm at Stellenbosch University. At the beginning of 2004, we requested the university to give us a place to worship from Friday evening until Sabbath evening. I remember we were allocated a place in the student center. I think it was the 3rd floor. Now, Helderberg College, they ensured each and every Sabbath they would send in a student pastor. Remember, we were only 5 students who were attending at Stellenbosch campus. This created a lot of excitement to us and a lot of joy to know that we were being looked after, and there were people who were assisting us in the formation of Sdasm at Stellenbosch. Helderberg also provided financial resources, especially during 2004 and 2005. The first student leader of Sdasm at Stellenbosch was a gentleman known as Isaac Salachai. He was a PhD student in engineering. In 2005, our number grew from being a 5-member group to being a 9-member group. And I remember our pastor, Pastor Stanley, mid-2005, he retired. He came to bid us farewell, and at this time started being independent in a sense that we could now invite our own preachers to come and preach. Also, it meant that there was a lot of work for us. Find that you are a Sabbath school superintendent, you are a deacon, you are a teacher for a lesson, but this experience nurtured our spiritual lives. I thank God for the formation of Sdasm at Stellenbosch. Not only was my spiritual life nurtured at Stellenbosch, but also I knew that there were people who cared about me, there were people who loved me, and there were people who had my best interest at heart. I remember during those years the level of marginalization and racism that I personally experienced at Stellenbosch. At times it would overwhelm me. I would feel as if I should pack my bags and I should go home and never return. But because of Sdasm, I was encouraged every day to go on. Today, I hold fond memories of Stellenbosch University because of Sdasm. My message to you today is that please love one another. Take care of each other. Be your brother's keeper. Be your sister's keeper. Keep on witnessing for Christ around the campus. God bless you all.
My first year was in 2011, and I officially left Sdasm at the end of my Stellenbosch career in 2019. In my time here as an undergraduate, postgraduate, and employee of the university, I made some of my fondest memories, not to mention some of my lifelong and still standing friendships. But most of all, I'm so grateful for my time here because it has enhanced, and it did enhance my relationship with Christ, with myself, and of course with others. Stellenbosch Sdasm has a long history spanning from the early 2000s. You might know Mr. Winston Beerkus, the guy that helps us not write exams on Sabbath? Yep, he was one of the founding members of Stellenbosch Sdasm. We're so grateful to him and many others through their prayers, through their time their effort and also through their presence on campus that has helped us to still be standing as a structure today. So if you see Winston on campus, just be like, "What's up, Winston? Thank you for letting Jesus use you." And over the years, we have gone through a number of presidents and also execoms, but all of them, alongside all our many fellow congregants and peers, have been super supportive of the goal of creating a community in which to shine the light and advance the second advent of Jesus Christ on a circular campus. That is really at the heart of Stellenbosch Sdasm. It's not only a community for those that are already Adventists, but it is to spread the Advent truth to all those in and around Stellenbosch area. You might know that we have friendly relationships with Clutersville, as well as Iris Valley, and with Kayamandi, the mother churches, and because of that we're able to exert our influence way further. We have done soup kitchens, we have donated a number of things, and also we have created allyships with a number of other societies on campus. So through our connections and through all of you and the hard work that you continue to put in, we'd like to just say thank you so much for what you've done for Stellenbosch Sdasm throughout the years. If it hadn't been for your prayers, as well as for your contributions in various ways through your skills, your talents, your efforts, and your ching, we would not have been here today. So to those of you that are carrying the banner forward, press on. It is definitely worth it.
But currently based in Kenya. I'm teaching at a university in Nyeri, which is a small town about 3 hours away from our capital city, Nairobi, which is more familiar or more known. So what Sdasm meant for me, place to make friends firstly, place to grow in terms of the knowledge of God and in terms of faith and deeds towards those who are especially neglected in community. I think I really loved the soup kitchen bit of Sdasm, and it really brought us close, and I was always inspired by the fact that it was an initiative that was fully run by the students. How did this enrich my university experience? I think it gave me balance. I think Stellenbosch really tells one side of the story. If you keep your eyes closed through Sdasm and the community outreaches, it helped me to see the other side of life, and get a realistic balance on society. But it also helped me to see what our work is out here as Christians and how we need to impact our societies through small deeds of kindness. So I'd encourage you to kindly keep that up. Some career advice for those who may be leaving: keep God as your rock, serve Him loyally, whatever the opportunity, no matter how small, and don't be afraid to stand for the right. We have the examples of the Hebrew boys and Daniel. Trust me, God is always there for you if you choose to do the right. So all the best to the current Sdasmites. I pray for your success. And in any case, if you ever find yourself in Kenya and needing a contact, please feel free to hit me up, and I'll try my best to give aid where I can. Alright, happy Sabbath.
I was in Sdasm from 2016 through to 2019. Now, although Sdasm means very many things to me, I think the biggest one would probably be a reminder of something outside of myself and something bigger than myself. Because although Sdasm was always usually a very small, close-knit community, it was really very wonderful. Two of my favorite memories about Sdasm would probably be the first one, the conversations that we would have with each other, usually on Friday night after Vespers, as we would escort everyone back to their residences. We would kind of engage with each other, and it was really, really insightful for me personally. Get to kind of nitpick each other's minds, and see what people think on different issues. And we would just sit and talk for hours and hours, and that was something that I really enjoyed. And the second thing, which is probably my favorite memory, is definitely Soup Kitchen. How our soup kitchen was fully funded by all of our members, And when it was time, people would come out, and help to prepare the food. And it was always just a fun time, kind of being in the kitchen together and helping here and there and working together. And also when it was time to like dish out and everything and set up, people always there to help, and people always very willing to come, and I think that's something I really, really appreciate, and something I really love about Sdasm, about how, our community actually, we achieved quite, some beautiful things. And so that was really heartwarming for me, and definitely my favorite memory about Sdasm.
In Pietermaritzburg at the moment. I was at Stellenbosch University from 2012 to 2016. During that time, I was a proud member of Sdasm, Seventh-day Adventist Student Movement. Sdasm was a very, very special place for me. It meant a lot because every Sabbath you had a family that you could fellowship with. You made friends and you built bonds over those years. And we supported one another and we had a lot of fun. A lot of activities. We'd travel, we'd go to Cape Town, we'd go to the park, and that's where most of my memories of Sdasm are. At J.H. Murray Park, the nature reserve. Every Sabbath we'd go there, we'd have lunch. Sisters would cook lentils, brothers would bring buns, and it was just a wonderful time. And I hope that all of you are enjoying your time at Sdasm. And if there's any advice that I would have, is that enjoy it, have more activities, have more fun. But also don't forget the mission of that, the Adventist message to all the world in this generation. We're living in environments that is very secular, where postmodernism is competing with the biblical truths and our worldview that we know. And one thing I would encourage all of you in a secular environment such as Stellenbosch is to be firm and stand for what you believe in. And don't forget to spread as much of the word as you can.
I'm a lawyer based in Zimbabwe. I was in Sdasm from 2011 to about 2018 when I left Stellenbosch. I can start by saying Sdasm is a privilege that you don't appreciate until you leave. And the family and the friends that you gain from Sdasm make the university experience much different. When I joined Sdasm in 2011, it was still a very small group of students just coming together. It was beautiful, but it was home because I knew I had a place to go when everything else is difficult. When you get to Sdasm, you can literally leave your burdens at the door and you can just let go and just be happy and just be smiling and know that it's a reprieve from everything else that's happening around you. And that was very crucial for me, especially as I was nearing the end of my university experience. If it wasn't for Sdasm, I don't think I'd be the person that I am today. This is obviously spoken from a place of hindsight, and hindsight being 2020. I look back at the things that maybe some of my other schoolmates did when they got to varsity and what I experienced, and our lives are completely different. And I can only thank Sdasm for that life experience that I had. How did Sdasm improve my university experience? Firstly, it gave me family. I cannot express how grateful I am that I got to varsity and I had people I could call friends instantly, immediately had family, immediately had people watching out for me, people concerned about my welfare. And it was an instant God-given family, and that made life so much more different because I wasn't worried about certain things like fitting in or affiliating with a certain group or anything like that, because I knew I had people that are like-minded, beautiful brained individuals that were there to have conversation with, to have fellowship with, to have lunch and picnic, go to the beach with. It also gave me people to bounce ideas off without the intellectual judgment. I don't know if anyone understands what I'm trying to say. So I could talk to a person and talk to people and know that whatever I say is given its fair value, it's given its fair consideration. So that's really, Sdasm gave me that safe space. So Sdasm was a safe harbor, and also improved just my social skills, to just be able to get into a group of people and know that you can be yourself. And that made such a huge difference, not only in my self-confidence, but even in my perception of life. So yeah, that's really what Sdasm did for me. Thank you.
I was there from 2014 to 2019, and I'm currently based in Lesotho. When I got to Sdasm, I was an extremely shy person, introverted, had no confidence in myself, and had very low self-esteem. But Sdasm largely changed that. Through the many activities that I took part in Sdasm, I started seeing a pronounced change in the way I perceived myself. To start with, my opinion was required, and my opinion generally mattered, was taken seriously. So that helped me to grow as a person, to grow in self-confidence, and to have a better estimation of myself. Secondly, Sdasm helped me recognize my leadership abilities and also helped me to shape and grow in that direction. To grow my leadership abilities, to exercise leadership as a way of growing that aspect of my life. Before that, or before Sdasm, I didn't know that I had it in me to be a leader. But through the confidence that the members had in me and elected me as a leader over and over again, it helped me realize and helped me improve as a person in the way that I interacted with people, in the way that I conducted myself around people, and in the way that I became an example. As a leader, one is generally an example. So in the way that I became an example to people. Now, these two things that I mentioned also extended or translated into my broader varsity experience, and in the way that I interacted with the wider university community. I participated more in academic activities, especially in a group setting. I was able to take initiative and to take the lead where necessary, which are things I don't believe I would have been able to have done if it wasn't for Sdasm.
Hey Sdasmites, I hope you're well. I'm here to give you some 3 things to consider after graduating and before entering the professional world. So the first thing, intrapersonal relationship. Your intrapersonal relationship must be true and honest. What intrapersonal relationship is, it's a relationship that you have with yourself. So a starting point is to know yourself. What are your triggers? What are your boundaries? What are your limitations? What are your strengths? What are your competencies? What are your skills? Right? What do you have to offer? Tip number 2, interpersonal relationships. So, are you introverted? Are you extroverted? What's your leadership style? How do you work well in teams? What people do you work best with? What people do you struggle working with? What traits do you have that add to a team? And what traits do you have that don't add to a team, that actually extract value out of a team? Tip number 3, systemic considerations. And here the word is alignment, alignment, alignment. So does the field you enter in, the career choice, the job you enter, or the marketplace you enter in, adhere to your beliefs, your convictions, your values, right? Is the system that you're going to be entering in enabling to who you are, what you believe in? And also, does the culture fit you, right? So whatever organization, field, or whatever it is that you do after you graduate, you must ask yourself, does this truly align with who and what I am, and who and what I believe in? So yeah, those are the 3 tips. 1, intrapersonal relationship. 2, interpersonal relationships. And then 3, your systemic considerations. And as you can see, this video was proudly sponsored by ShopRite. No, not that. ShopRite. And I wish you all the best.
I was in Sdasm in 2018. That was my last year of being in Sdasm. And now I'm currently an engineer and I work in a lighting and power design capacity for an engineering consultancy. Career advice that I have for Sdasmites who are in Sdasm is I always thought that the time that I spent in Sdasm might have been spent perhaps in something to build my career, perhaps more volunteer hours, that would have made me maybe stand out from more applicants and given me an edge, because I think a lot of the people that I was up against for my current job had those sort of experiences. And I thought, oh dear, I've spent all my life really kind of working for the Lord in my extra time, like organizing all these Sdasm events, doing all these sorts of things, that I didn't really do Engineers Without Borders. I didn't really do anything of that nature in my tertiary education. So I thought that would be a hindrance for me. But what I found is that when you do God's business, He takes care of your business as well. And that was not a barrier for me. In fact, my current employer, he told me in my interview actually that they're looking for people with character. Not so much knowledge, especially at the start of your career. They're looking for people with a teachable spirit. So if you've ever been around Sdasmites, that is something that people who are currently working for the Lord or really care about, God and Christianity and growing in Christ, that's the kind of people who are there. They're people with teachable spirits, people who are working on their characters for now and also for heaven. So that's what really shone through. So don't think that the time that you're spending in Sdasm is wasted. It isn't. You're growing. And you're growing actually for your career. You're learning how to speak. You're learning how to organize. You're learning how to articulate. You're learning how to take initiative. All these skills are important in your career, and they're soft skills that no one's going to really teach you. They can teach you how to do a circuit. They can teach you how to do a lighting design, but they can't teach you how to listen, how to be a team player, how to take initiative. All these things are things that you must already come to the workforce having built, and Sdasm is a good place to learn those things. So don't think the years that you're spending in Sdasm are wasted. You're actually growing. So that's really the only advice that I had, and I hope you can find some value in it and some use in it. It really came through in importance for me, and I've always praised God for the way that He showed up for me in my interview. So yeah, that's it. I hope that helps somebody out there. Yeah.
I was a Sdasmite from 2016 to 2019, and the advice that I have for you is to plan ahead as you think about or work towards what you'll be doing after your studies. So, for example, what that looked like for me was I started looking for jobs quite early, and that was in my final year. Even though I had my final year project and all the stress that comes with that, I took time to look at different options, different graduate programs, and I even applied for masters at Stellenbosch, and that was helpful because I wasn't sure what specific field I was going to go into. So for example, I did engineering. Would that be biomedical? Would it be new technology design or consultancy? So I kept it open. What interested me or looked interesting, I applied for, and at the end of the year, God had blessed me with a job, and that's what I decided to go for. And it's something I advise because the job market is quite difficult, and the earlier you start, I think the better it is, especially because you have something to do as you're searching. I think what would have been quite difficult is if I'd not had something to do in the next year, whether it be a study program or a job, then all the stress of being an unemployed graduate would have been quite difficult to bear, and that's what a lot of people had to face. So it's not a foolproof plan, but I hope that it's advice that someone can find beneficial. So take some time and plan ahead, and even leaving your options open.
Beloved, the only things we have left as our individual paths start to split off into different directions are the memories of shared joys, now and again tears, and achievements. Have you ever heard of the time when Sdasm was served eggs for Sabbath lunch? Or when all the pasta went bad in the boot of a car? Yeah, failed cooking groups alone have provided hours of entertainment. You've probably started collecting your own fair share of memories. On your journey, keep in mind, that if there isn't a selfie, did it even really happen? Please like, share. I'm kidding. Just share the gospel.